Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here on the show, and I'm here to talk about some college basketball. I'm here to do like a preview for the college basketball season that starts tonight. The game's starting at like 6:30. So I'm here to give my preview, my final four picks, then my national championship. I'm a national championship pick this year. Just to talk about some of the teams as well. So let's get into it. And I think this could be a season full of mystery. Obviously, the season tips off tonight. Some key players have returned. The reigning one award winner returned to Purdue, Zach Edey, which hopes to duplicate Virginia's fate and put last year's first round loss to Fairleigh Dickinson behind it with a national title run. Remember, Virginia lost to a 16 seed, and Purdue did as well. So maybe Purdue can put that behind them. Maybe you can try and get there, win the national title. And we haven't had a back-to-back Wooden Award winner since former Virginia star Ralph Sampson Jr., so maybe Zach Edey could do that this year. Possibly. Another key big man, Hunter Dickinson, and Kyle Filipowski appear to be Edey's top competition in that race. You know, Hunter Dickinson transferred from Michigan, chose Kansas, so Kansas has a really good passing big man in Hunter Dickinson this year. But this landscape lacks like a juggernaut team. There appears to be no obvious frontrunner, and that's usually a good thing. The new Big 12, Houston, appears to have multiple national titles. The Big 12, Houston now in that conference now, it appears to have multiple national title contenders. UConn hopes to repeat, but I don't know if it's the best team in the Big East, because they lost a lot of players from last year to UConn. I think Marquette or Creighton could be the best team in the Big East, so I don't know if UConn can repeat this year. The Pac-12's final season might not yield any grand headlines, really. Pac-12's kind of just there. Florida Atlantic's nucleus from the Final Four run will be one of the biggest stories probably in college basketball because they're ranked in the top 10 to start the year. They brought back all 5 starters from last year. They still have their coach. I think Florida Atlantic's going to be really good this year. But, I think the most interesting team, I want to go over some teams that I think can be the most interesting to watch. I'm going to have my Kentucky Wildcats, obviously. Be interesting to watch, see what John Calipari. First, I want to talk about North Carolina. I'm kind of, in a good way, I'm worrying, because North Carolina is the pick here for me. The first one I want to talk about in 2 seasons under Hubert Davis. They carried a 15-point lead to the halftime of the national championship game one year and missed the tournament entirely. The next. So I don't know what's the true new normal for one of the game's most storied programs. Are they gonna win the national title this year? I think they can be a contender. I think they'll be better than they were last year. But I don't know. They're an interesting team. They'll be an interesting team to watch. I'm gonna say Tennessee as well. They belong in the best, maybe best golfer never to win a major category. Like, say golf, there's a major name that's never won a major, named event. The Vols might be the biggest athletic department never to reach a Final Four, in men's basketball, that is. Rick Barnes has been consistently excellent since arriving in Knoxville, but they've been unable to get past the Sweet 16 despite multiple top 10 teams on KenPom. Could this be the year that changes? I don't think it will. Like, they have a really good defense. Like, I think their defense will be great, but I just don't think their offense will be good enough. Next one, I'll go with FAU. They're ranked in the preseason top 10 for making a run to the Final Four last year, bringing back all 5 starters. They're also a team that earned a 9 seed and they were seconds away from losing in the first round of Memphis, but they survived. I don't think they'll struggle. I really think they'll still be a great team. I'm going to say Kentucky. The last team that'll be interesting. John Calipari in Kentucky will be a big story. Antonio Reeves coming back, a top-ranked recruiting class. We have the players to win big. It's been nearly a decade since we've reached the Final Four, but I really think we can do this year. I really like this team, with Antonio Reeves coming back, which is really big. Our recruiting class, which I think is one of our best. Because with Justin Edwards, he's like 7 foot. He can attack the paint. He can shoot pretty well, in my opinion, too. He's kind of fast like De'Aaron Fox, except you know he's like except Justin Edwards like 6'9", 6'10". Reed Sheppard, obviously, because I'm from Kentucky, watched a lot of high school basketball. Reed Sheppard's really good. His defense has improved since getting to Kentucky as well. And he does everything on the floor. Fights hard, rebounds, makes some nice passes. So I would really like Reed Sheppard this year. Big Z, whenever he gets eligibility from the NCAA. And Yenso come back, 2 7-footers that will protect the rim. So I really like this team this year. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how we look, though. That's why I say it's going to be interesting to see how our team looks start the year. I'm going to say a mystery team that will either be a bracket disruptor or a tournament disaster. I don't know what to think about UCLA, honestly. I mean, yes, they have Mick Cronin, a couple potential one-and-done freshmen, and they bring back Adam Bona on the interior, but there's hardly any other returning production on the roster, and their best freshmen are coming from overseas, so they will have to, adapt. They could fall anywhere from a second weekend team or barely make the tournament. I don't know what to make about UCLA. I think Miami. I don't know. They closed the season with 2 games at home, which they lost to Florida State and barely beat Pitt. And then they somehow went to the Final Four as the number 5 seed. They're ranked 13th to start the year. I don't know. I think Miami will be either middle of the top 25 or just not even the top 25 by the end of the season. I'm going to say the Big Ten. A mystery conference. Perhaps, well, it's probably one you heard of. The Big Ten has collected a whopping 26 NCAA tournament bids the past 3 years and produced exactly 0 teams in the Final Four. Considering 10 of those 26 were top 4 seeds in the region, it's kind of disastrous. So, the Big Ten, I think, is a bracket disruptor or a tournament disaster. I'll say Maryland, the next team, the last team I'll mention in this, with the return of Jameer Young, Julian Reese, and Donta Scott, and the addition of a strong recruiting class. Big Ten title contention and second weekend run both seem possible, but this program started 1-3 or worse in Big Ten play the past 3 years, and they haven't been in the Sweet 16 since 2016. But maybe they could change that this year. I like what they did, returning Jameer Young, Julian Reese, Donta Scott, and a good recruiting class. But they have to start strong in Big Ten play when they get to conference play. So, the first top 25 team, I think they'll exit the NCAA tournament this year. I'm just going to say UConn. I'm going to say UConn. Why? Because the recent champs have had rough outings the year after their title runs, or 2 years later in Virginia's case, since we didn't have a 2020 national champion. Duke's 2015-16 squad was the last national champion to reach the second weekend in the NCAA tournament. I think they could get caught in a similar title hangover, in the sense they just don't have that stronger roster as they did their championship year. I'll say Gonzaga is the next team. I don't know. I just don't feel like Gonzaga's as good as this year, as the past few years, where they've made it far. I just don't think they'll make it far this year. Losing Drew Timme, Julian Strawther. I don't see Gonzaga being... I think they'll be good, but they're not going to be like a top-ranked team like they have been. And the next 2 teams, I'll say Illinois. I don't know. I'll say Texas. I'll say either Texas or Illinois. I could just pick Illinois, but I'll say Texas. I think it'll come down to Max Abmas. If he's... I wonder how his production will translate to Big 12. He's probably be their best scorer, but if he doesn't put up big numbers, I don't know how good this team will be offensively. But I'm going to say Texas. And then... That's the last team I'll say. I'll say a non-Power 5 school that we'll all be rooting for is the next thing I'll get into. It's probably St. Mary's. Back-to-back number 5 seeds and consecutive second-round NCAA tournament appearances. I think they can beat Gonzaga in the WCC this year, win that conference. Mary Mack. is eligible for the NCAA tournament, so hopefully he'll be fitting if they got in the NCAA tournament in their first eligible season, which I hope that happens. Florida Atlantic, I'll definitely be rooting for, because I feel like a lot of people are disrespecting them, saying, oh, they shouldn't be top 10, but they brought back off all their starters, still have their coach. I think they'll make it. I think they'll be good this year. I'll be rooting for them. So next, I'll talk about some players everyone should be paying a lot more attention for. It's Tucker DeVries of Drake. He's the coach's son, but he doesn't just play like a coach's son. He is the son of Bulldogs head man Darian DeVries. He averaged 24.4 wins over 6 seasons in Des Moines, including 25 and 27 with Tucker roaming the paint. This year's Bulldogs should be back in the NCAA tournament. This time, they got a real chance to win. Tucker DeVries is really, really good. Max Fiedler at Rice. He was number 1 in the nation effective field goal percentage last season, while ranking number 1 on the team for assist rate at 6'11". He operates kind of like a point center. Say like Draymond Green, the NBA kind of does. Just Max Fiedler. Tristan DeSilva of Colorado. He's a 6'9" player from Germany who shot 39.4% from 3 last season, and had 11 games at 20 plus points. He might be the best returning player in the Pac-12. I'll say Drew Pembro's the last player. At 6'11", he had multiple 40-point games last year and made 38% of his threes. At UNC Asheville, he won't get a lot of national TV buzz unless the team returns to the tournament, but he's a unique player. Those are 4 players I think people should pay a lot more attention to. Some storylines I'll pay attention to this year is I don't think there's an elite team. I don't think there's that top team that's ahead of everybody else. I think a storyline people should look at is there's going to be a lot of parity this year. Because I don't think there's going to be that juggernaut of a team. Hunter Dickinson in Kansas, I think should be another one to see how he does at Kansas. Year 3 for Hubert Davis in North Carolina, I think should be another one looking at. John Calipari. I think Calipari returning to the Calipari of a decade ago and wants to see now if he can win with a rotation made up of primarily freshmen with DJ Wagner, who's been awesome. If our beast can stay healthy, I think it'll be good. Bronny James with USC when he comes back after he had that cardiac arrest, whenever he comes back to play, I think there's going to be some storylines to watch. The player not named Zach Edey who can win the Wooden Award this year, I think will be either Dickinson or Filipowski, like I mentioned at the beginning. That's another thing to watch out for. But if I'm going to get my final 4 picks, I'm going to say Kentucky, obviously. I'll say Kansas, Purdue, and Houston. That'll be my final 4. And my national championship, I'll probably have Kentucky winning. Kind of just a biased pick. But my honest pick, I'll probably say like Kansas. I think we'll win it this year. My biased pick, and that was my biased pick, Kentucky, and that was my actual pick, Kansas. The Wooden Award, I think will go to Kyle Filipowski this year. I think he'll be better than last year. Coach of the Year, I'm gonna probably say Bill Self of Kansas. Newcomer of the Year, I'll say DJ Wagner of Kentucky. All-Americans, I'll probably have Edey, Dickinson, Filipowski, Tyler Kolek of Marquette, and Rendo Baycott. So, yeah, that's my college basketball preview for the games tonight, starting at 6:30. So, look for this college basketball season. Like I said, I think it's going to be a lot of parity. Like I mentioned, I don't think in the storylines, I don't think we're going to have to see that dominant team this year. I feel like it's going to be a crazy season full of upsets, and you're not going to see that dominant team. And I feel like in the tournament, we could get a lot of upsets. Maybe my championship picks will be wrong, and they could change towards the end of the season. I'm not saying this is my official pick, I was just giving an early prediction. But yeah, it's all the same to next Mac White. Peace.